We often view education as a process contained within four walls, a series of lessons delivered from a chalkboard. But for some, the most significant learning happens when the walls are removed entirely and the world itself becomes the immersive classroom. In 1960s India, a young boy named M.M. Naravan lived a life defined by routine and security. His world was Gwalior, a familiar cycle of family gatherings, his elder brother's mischief, and the predictable safety of an Air Force station. That secure reality was disrupted when his father was posted to Paris. The family traded their landlocked home for a towering Italian liner, the Guglielmo Marconi, embarking on a week-long voyage across the Mediterranean. The true immersion began in a local Parisian primary school. At age 5, he was placed in a classroom with zero knowledge of the language. The barrier was so total that he couldn't even ask for basic necessities, like permission to use the washroom. This environmental shock serves as the first step in building survival skills required for high-stakes environments. It forces a child to look past what is comfortable and begin interpreting a world that no longer makes immediate sense. In this setting, overcoming a language barrier isn't an academic goal, it's a requirement for daily social survival. You learn to speak because without it, you cannot navigate even simple interactions with your peers. The family bypassed traditional lessons by using local French television as a rapid immersion tool. By watching programs without subtitles, the children picked up nuances, accents, and the rhythm of the language through pure observation. Within months, the adaptation was so successful that the young boy gained the confidence to begin walking home alone through the Parisian winters, navigating the snow-covered streets in a balaclava and anorak. Necessity is more than a catalyst for learning. It hardwires a sense of self-reliance into a developing mind, proving that adaptability is a skill born from forced circumstances. This cognitive development began on the ship. Navigating the multi-level decks and labyrinthine passageways of a massive ocean liner forced the child to develop complex internal spatial maps to avoid getting lost. His worldview expanded physically as the ship moved through global geographic pinch points, like the narrow desert corridor of the Suez Canal. Later, a trip to Sweden introduced him to the jarring phenomenon of the midnight sun. Waking up to bright daylight in the middle of the night provided a first-hand lesson in how geography dictates the very rhythm of life. On the long, straight European highways, his father pointed out a strategic detail. These roads were designed to double as emergency military airstrips. These geographic observations created a mental library of terrain and infrastructure, one the author would rely on decades later when visualizing strategic landscapes as a military leader. Family road trips across Italy, Switzerland, and Austria functioned as a mobile history lesson. They crossed diverse terrains, moving through the countryside at 100 kilometers per hour in a small Fiat car. He saw the value of resilient engineering firsthand. The family car eventually survived a tumbling highway accident with all passengers unscathed, and he wore a single mechanical Swiss watch for 40 years. Exposure to Renaissance masterpieces like the works of Michelangelo instilled a specific philosophy that perfection is built through the mastery of small details. As the artist himself said, "Trifles make perfection, and perfection is no trifle." Witnessing these masterpieces and enduring examples of engineering sets an exceptionally high personal standard, teaching that quality is the result of uncompromising attention to detail. Living across different European climates and cultures builds a cognitive familiarity with multivariable environments. It becomes easier to process complex, shifting surroundings without becoming overwhelmed by the diversity of the data. Upon returning to India, this experience made the country's own vast regional differences intuitive. Mapping differences between France, Italy, and Sweden provided a blueprint for understanding the diverse customs of Indian states. After navigating Europe, unity and diversity becomes a lived experience, understanding how a single entity functions across vast internal differences. For a military leader, this background allows history to move beyond the page. When studying military history, he could accurately visualize the terrain and weather of a battlefield because he had already stood on that ground. Reading provides information, but physical displacement facilitates a form of open-mindedness that wires the brain for the adaptability and terrain awareness central to strategic leadership.